to another edition of the Stogie Review video review. I am Walt, and this is the first time you're watching one of our videos. There are three of us here at Stogie Review, Jerry, Brian, and I, and we do weekly cigar video reviews throughout the week. You'll find Jerry's on Monday. Brian's are typically on Saturday with a written review on Wednesday, and you'll find mine on Fridays. Now, if you watch only on YouTube, if you head over to StogieReview.com, you're going to come across more video content by all three of us, and you'll also find higher quality videos, ones that won't be compressed so much. But now that the formalities are over, let's get into the cigar that I'll be reviewing this week. And that is another cigar that I picked up at the IPCPR trade show. Now, during last week's review, I mentioned that I was possibly going to do either the EO brand cigar or I was going to do the Illusion. But I'm trying to get a jump on next week's review. It's actually Saturday right now, the following day after you saw the Cubao review, and it's early in the morning, so I'm going with a milder cigar in the Avalon Juke series, and this is the Ebony. They're available in 3 different blends, I believe. The Ebony, a blue, and a red. They're all wildly different, and I'll get into that in just a minute. This particular cigar is a Perfecto. It's got at the widest portion, it's a 54 ring gauge, and it has a length of 4.5 inches. The binder is Indonesian. The filler is a mixture of Nicaraguan and Dominican tobaccos, and it has an Ecuadorian-grown Connecticut shade wrapper to top everything off. From what I understand, it originates in the Dominican Republic, and the only place I can find them online to get a comparison on price was Serious Cigars, and they are out of stock. However, they are still listed at about $5 a single. Now, I don't know a lot of information about the Avalon company. There's a lot of little tidbits that I've heard here and there, but nothing rock solid. So I went over to their website and I just kind of breezed through it, and was going back on a couple of notes that I took from the trade show. Now, Avalon cigars were created by a couple of guys from down in Mississippi, and what I gather from the website, this place that these cigars come from is flat. It's very laid back, relaxed, and the cigars were created to fill the void, to create some sort of pastime, you know, just to take their attention away and just give them something fun to do. So, yeah. Anyway, they had this very laid back attitude on the website, and they had the same attitude at their booth in Las Vegas. Now, in one corner of the booth there was someone playing guitar, and the other corner was the owner of the brand. He was just kind of laid back, relaxed. And in the middle there was a pool table, and there was another guy sitting on the pool table, just kind of laid back, relaxed. You know, the booth was, it wasn't tiny, but it was fairly small. It was very laid back, easygoing. And, you know, every time you walk by and got to talk to one of these guys, they had a smile on their face, and they were very inviting. Gave us a few cigars to try. This is one of them. And we ended up passing their booth numerous times throughout the entire show. And every time we passed, we stopped, say hi, asked them how things were going, you know, did they have any orders and whatnot, you know, how were they doing. And every time they were very nice, and it was very nice meeting them. Unfortunately, I can't remember any of their names. And actually, I talked to the one guy for quite a bit on day 3, but I had a lot to drink that night, and I just can't remember his name for the life of me. He was very approachable, even when Jesse and I went from the Camacho party to the bar in the middle of Venetian. We bumped into him, and you know, it was just like in the booth, very easygoing. You know, just your run-of-the-mill, very nice guys. So it was very nice to meet those guys. But a little bit more on the cigar. The most notable thing about this cigar is that it looks sort of like a short story by Arturo Fuente, but by the composition of the tobaccos, it's nothing like the short story. It just looks like it. And it seems that these Perfectos sort of get branded as, you know, the ones that look like the short story, or the short story style brand X. You know, it's just something that goes around because of the popular cigar. Now, these cigars are packaged in boxes of 20, and I didn't think to grab the box price. Just the single price is about $5. They're available in a Churchill, which is a 50 by 7, Perfecto / Torpedo, which is this one, a 54 by 4.5, and a Corona at 44 by 4.5. And it looks like the distribution's mainly in the southern states, with a couple of others sprinkled in. I think I saw New York and San Diego. And really, they seem to be limited as far as online sales. You know, the one that I came across that I recognized was Serious Cigars. Now, I said that these are wildly different from one to the next, and the Juke line, I'm not familiar with the word Juke, so I did a quick look up online. And from what I understand, they're in the southern states. They're roadside establishments with kind of booze and debauchery and lots of music, from what I gather. And they change dramatically from one establishment to the next. And that's what they tried to create with the Juke series. You've got a mild, what's branded as a mild to medium-bodied Connecticut Shade. You've got a medium to full Nicaraguan Maduro, and you've got a full-bodied Nicaraguan Rosado. So there is some variation in between. And really, that is the makeup on the cigar, or at least what I could gather from the website. I really wish I've taken more notes at the trade show and whatnot, but you know, hindsight's 20/20. But at any rate, I'm going to get started on the cigar because I know this is running very long at this point. And first thing I did was, actually before I turned the camera on, was look over the cigar. And one thing that struck me kind of odd was the cap. Now, it's very neatly formed. It's done very well. It looks great. But I can only see 2 seams. Now, typically, when I look at a cap, a double cap has never stood out to me. I've always seen single caps and triple caps, and this one appears to be 2. So that's a bit of an oddity, at least for me. I've never really taken notice of this. I don't know if anyone else has noticed double caps or know more about them, but it just sort of falls in the middle of what I'm used to. The Perfecto foot, the little nipple, it's got a little bit of a twist to it, but it doesn't look bad. The wrapper on the cigar looks beautiful. It's got small veins. It's got a light, it's sort of a dull sheen to it. It's firm to the touch. It's consistent head to foot. I was actually looking quite a bit earlier trying to find some soft spots, but it feels very good head to foot. It looks like a top quality cigar. The aroma is mildly sweet, and I tried getting an aroma on the cap or on the foot earlier, but because it's pinched off and sort of encased, I really can't smell anything. So we'll have to skip on that. Now, to open up the cigar. And it's really difficult to try to do this on camera. I know everyone's requesting seeing us cut our cigars, but short of turning the camera off, resetting it so that you can look down at my ashtray, this is the best I can do. That's that. Quick work with the scissors. And I'm not quite sure if the ACE method of lighting applies to these little nipple-ended cigars, because there's not a whole lot there to light. I guess I'll give it a shot. And if you didn't catch the video last week, this ACE method, and this was written up by ACE, that's why I'm calling it the ACE method, is basically to toast the cigar until it's lit, not to draw any excess heat through the cigar unless you absolutely have to. Hey, look at that, worked like a charm. Anyway, my cigar is lit, it's burning evenly, smoke is light, it's mildly sweet, and well, I'm going to enjoy a little bit of the morning. I've got a cup of coffee ready to go, so I'll catch you in just a minute, and we'll get down to business. As you can see, I'm plugging right along with my Avalon Juke Ebony, And being as the intro lasted so long, I'm going to try to keep this nice and short, short, sweet, to the point. The burning characteristics of my Avalon are going very well. The burn line itself is pretty straight. Now, last week I had mentioned I had a circulating fan set up, and I've got the same fan in the same location. The ashtray is in the same spot as it was last week, and I don't have any burn variation. So it tells me the cigar is constructed very well. The formation of the ash is tightly compacted. It's very light in color, and I don't know whether it's due to the shape or what, but it's pretty firm. I've got to give it quite a bit of an aggressive tap to knock it off, and it broke off clean and just kind of plopped in the ashtray and is still a solid hunk in there. Now, in the body department, it's living up to what Avalon describes the cigar to be, in that it is mild, and I can definitely see where anyone can enjoy the cigar. It's mild, it's not offensive, it doesn't kind of whack you in the face with flavor or with too much body. It's nice, it's laid back, relaxed, and I'm enjoying it so far. The finish is kind of middle of the road. It's not quite creamy, not quite dry. It's like right down the middle of the road, and it's not bad where it's at. It's nice. It complements the body and the flavors nicely. The flavor is just like the aroma on the wrapper. It's sort of mildly sweet, and the cold draw flavors that I got from quickly doing that. One thing I noted was that it's got a mildly sweet, like a sweet tobacco taste, like a naturally sweet tobacco taste. And that same flavor comes through in the smoke once you get it lit and you start puffing on it. And I'm drinking this with black coffee. When we were in Vegas, Brian labeled me as a coffee purist because I made a comment to him that I don't like cream and sugar in my coffee, and if I do put cream and sugar in any type of coffee, I don't like it at all. I can't drink it. So I always drink my coffee black, and this morning the cigar is going very well with the coffee. It's sort of got like a dry aftertaste, or a dry, the coffee does. It's got this sort of dry finish to it, and the naturally sweet flavor of the tobacco kind of works well. It just works to bring all these flavors together from the coffee and the cigar. So far I'm enjoying it, and like I said, I don't want this to get too long, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to take a quick break. You can take a look at a few pictures of the Avalon Juke Ebony. Listen to a little music courtesy of PodSafe Music Network, and I'll be back and we'll get started on the second third.
You pull emotions out like teeth. Oh God, I'm in ecstasy from the pain I'm feeling.
Well, welcome back, and as you can see, I'm still plugging along on my Avalon Juke Ebony, and I gotta say, so far I'm enjoying it. It's about, I've just hit the 1 hour mark. And I'm about to burn the band, so I'm going to pop that off now. And up until now, or I should say, it really isn't even changing now. The body has been very mild, just as advertised by Avalon. And as I said before, I can definitely see why this is marketed towards any cigar smoker, because it is very easygoing. It's not overwhelming. It goes great with coffee, and I really could see someone that doesn't smoke cigars very often smoking this cigar, or possibly even someone smoking their first cigar enjoying this one, because as I said, it's not overwhelming. It's nice and mild, relaxed, laid back. It's got sort of a nice feel to it. Now, the finish has changed since the first third. It's more along the lines of sort of a creamy, buttery sort of texture now. And that's changed over from the sort of middle of the road finish from before, where it wasn't quite dry, it wasn't quite creamy. It's developing more into this creamy, buttery texture, which is a nice change. And in the flavor department, there's also a change taking place. That naturally sweet flavor, a naturally sweet tobacco flavor, is quickly fading, and it's being replaced by a nice nutty flavor, almost like an almond flavor. And it's a nice change of pace. And I think it goes very well with the coffee, as I had mentioned in the last clip. The flavors just work well together. Even without coffee, just drinking this with water, I think that it would be just as nice. You wouldn't have the added coffee flavors to make it more enjoyable. But it's a good cigar. It's going very well, and I could definitely see myself smoking these. I don't know, very early afternoon, just kind of hanging out in the yard or doing something around town. I don't think it's got enough body to stand up to, say, your palate after lunch or something like that, but I'll get into that in the final third wrap-up. Now, just as before, the burning characteristics of the cigar are nice. I've got a thin, even burn line. Again, I've got a fan set up to circulate the air, and I still have no waviness going on. The ash itself stays tight and compacted. It takes a firm tap in the ashtray to knock it off. It stays nice and clean. I'm not getting any flaking or anything like that. So the quality or the construction of the cigar is top notch. The draw's got a little bit of resistance to it, but even so, I'm still getting a mouthful of smoke. It's nice and thick, dense, easy to get through the sinuses, and it's just very nice overall. So that wraps up the second third, and well, take a look at a few more pictures. I'll be back. We'll wrap things up, and I'll let you be on your way. Well, welcome back. It's been about an hour and a half now, and well, I'm getting down to practically a nub of my Avalon Juke Ebony, and I've really been enjoying it so far. Just like in the second third, there hasn't been much transition as far as the strength and body is concerned. They're still both very mild. The finish is getting more and more creamy and sort of buttery as I go along. It kind of plateaued, I don't know, about half a dozen puffs ago, and really it's just kind of flat line or straight line. But again, nice and creamy, very mild body. And the flavor department really hasn't changed either. Now, the naturally sweet tobacco flavor that I was getting in the first third and second third, it's still more along the lines of a secondary flavor, but it's becoming a little more tart. And the primary focus is still on this nutty flavor, which is sort of like almond. All in all, the combination is nice. The only downside of the cigar at this point is that because of its size, or because of what's left of it, it doesn't take much to really heat up the cigar, and as soon as it gets just a little too warm, it turns really harsh. So this is one that I most definitely won't be smoking down until I'm burning my fingers. It'll probably be going out very soon. If I allow it to stay cool, it's still nice and enjoyable, but it's tough to do that without the cigar wanting to go out. The burning characteristics have been great. Thin, even burn line, even with the draft of the fan set up behind the camera. The draw's got a little bit of resistance to it, but at the same time it still gives me a mouthful of smoke, which is very nice. And the room aroma started off as being pretty pleasant. It was mild, it wasn't offensive, but it's come a long way since then. and at this point it's pretty pungent. Actually, it's beginning to irritate my eyes a little bit, and that's even with the fan going and the window open. So we went from very mild flavors to a little bit, not quite as mild, but still mild in the flavor department. But there was a drastic swing in the room aroma. Here we started off as sort of sweet and very mild to pungent and really beginning to irritate my eyes and my throat just a little bit. I don't know whether it's a little more Ligero in the final bits of the cigar, or the fact that it's just getting very short and very warm. As far as the final thoughts are concerned, I really enjoyed the cigar. It was nice. I think it lives up to what Avalon says it is, in the sense that this is the type of cigar that anyone should be able to pick up and find enjoyable. It's not going to be offensive, even to someone that doesn't smoke cigars very often, or possibly even the brand new cigar smoker. I don't think they would really be turned off by this cigar. It's got interesting flavors that are very easy to follow along with. They're easy to pick out. There isn't a whole lot of complexity to the cigar. It's fairly straightforward, but it's sort of laid back and nice in its own sort of way. As far as the price is concerned, about $5 a single. The first thing I thought of when I looked at the cigar was, this looks just like this short story. And there's a lot of cigars that I look at that are perfecto shaped and have a little nipple on the end and are about the same size and dimension as a short story. And that's the first cigar I think of. And I'm sure when I held the cigar up the first time, it's possibly what you thought of. Wow, it looks like a short story. But you really can't compare the two, because it's like comparing apples and oranges. You've got a Connecticut shade wrapper with a totally different blend, and it tastes entirely different. So it's not a comparison that I really want to make, although that's the first thing that's going to enter your mind because of the size and shape and whatnot. So in terms of price, it's the same price more or less as the short story. I don't know. It's very straightforward. It's a smaller cigar. It's $5. It's mild. It's easygoing. I don't know that I'd necessarily pick one up at $5 in my local shop. I mean, I did like it, but it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't shine like I would have expected from a cigar of its size, or of its price for its size and whatnot. Again, apples and oranges, but I think that the Hemingway short story really shines through and makes you understand why you're paying $5 for that smaller cigar. But again, you have to realize that this is a small company with it's a boutique line. It's a boutique brand of cigars. They're not widely distributed, so you're going to pay a little bit more for them. So it kind of evens out. Although I did enjoy it, I don't know that I'd necessarily pick them up on a regular basis from my local cigar shop. So I've sort of got mixed feelings. I like the cigar. I don't know that I'd be willing to pay $5 for it, though. I mean, $5 sounds pretty insignificant, but that's the price I have set in my mind when I walk into a cigar shop, and I'm getting cigars that are much larger than this for about $5. So it's a tough comparison to make, and it's a thin line. Do I buy it or don't I buy it? And I think more often than not, I would pass up this cigar and pick up something else. But again, I did enjoy it with coffee. It's a nice morning smoke, and I'll certainly be smoking more in the future. Just not, I don't know, it's not a cigar that I'll be smoking very often, but I did enjoy it. But at any rate, that is the Avalon Juke series in the Ebony designation, and overall I thought it was a good smoke. As far as what's coming up next week, well, probably that Illusion, because it should have been this week, and it was just a little bit too early to be smoking that cigar. So, maybe I'll even smoke that later on in the day and try to get ahead on the videos. But at any rate, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the video, and until next week, happy smoking.